Okay, so I always see a lot of animals that I just want to draw stylized. So I'm going to show you how I stylize different animals. And hopefully you don't hear the noise in the background. Very loud neighbors. So I'm going to choose Sketchmaster 2. It's a nice thick brush and it allows me to really just quickly put down these shapes. Start with a kind of an oval there for the head. And here's about another circle in the middle. And kind of comes out a little bit here. I'm just going to try to make these shapes very just very loose. And, I'm not trying to get every single detail of his skin and texture and everything. Right now I'm just sort of trying to get the general shapes. Let me make it a little smaller. No, I can make it a little bigger. Okay. I just want to make sure that I have enough room so that I can move around and sort of get big sweeping motions. So he kind of has a fat little round body here. So let's just sort of think of it as a nice shape like that. Alright, and then he has his little round tail. I love manatee tails. I think they're really cute. I'll just add in this little detail. And I made his tail a little big, so I'm just going to make it smaller. I think that's a better size. I can probably make his head a little bigger. I think I made his head a little too small. So I'm just using the select tool to sort of, just do these little details. Move his head up a little bit. Okay, I think that's nice. A little round here. I think that's a good shape for him. So now he has his little paddles, his little flippers here. So it looks like I want to make this bottom part flat, so I'm just going to sort of give that some shape there as though it's flat, and I'll make his little flipper here. And I'm going to use a lot of liberties, with his little paddles. And just sort of concentrate on their general shape instead of trying to really match his paddles, because that's what you can do. It's a drawing, so you can always it doesn't have to be exactly like the reference all the time. As long as the idea is there. And this is a struggle today. I gotta remember not to do tutorials on Sunday because they're very, very loud. So hopefully you can't hear that too much. Now it's the loud music. I'm gonna try to focus on my manatee. Okay, what do I think about those flippers? I feel like they can be cuter. So I'm going to I'm going to sort of start again. Okay. So if I want really, let's see, how do I want to make these little flippers? So I just kind of drew them a little faster and just sort of, just try to get a little more movement to them. I'll make this a little smaller under here. Oops, didn't mean to erase that. Okay, so I like this shape. It's a nice shape for a manatee. Okay, so let's do a little bit of his face. So let's make the center line down for his nose. He's got little nostrils here. I think I might have made them a little too big, but that's okay. That's okay for now. And he's got a little flat mouth here in the bottom, but of course I'm going to make him smiling. So I'll bring that up. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I'll just soften up the rest of these lines here and just sort of make them really simple. Okay, let me just clean this up a little bit. Oops. Okay, pretty good so far. So now for the eyes, I'm going to go ahead and do these on a different layer because sometimes I'm terrible with figuring out just where I want to put them. So I'm not going to make his eyes that big, although that might be kind of cute since he has really small eyes here, but I just want to make this whole like portion, this whole center, and that's another way that I can keep the eyes sort of even. So if I make this whole circle and then kind of just work within that. So let's say I just make a little smaller circle where I think the eye will go, and maybe something like that. And then I'll put like the eye, something like that maybe. I think that looks pretty cute. And then I'll turn this circle into his sort of eye socket. I'll do the same thing with this one. I'll sort of make his eye here. And I'll do that same little... I'll sort of erase away just so I can see it, just so I can see it clearly. And I'll erase the sketch underneath just so I can clearly see where his eye is. It looks pretty even so far, so let me go back up to the eye layer and just kind of check by doing the other eyeball. It would be something like that. I think that looks okay. And then I'll just sort of round out his little area like above his eye here. So I want to round that out a little bit. Just like that. I think that looks pretty good. Do I think it's sticking out too much? I could always change it later, but I think it looks pretty good for now. I think that looks good. Okay, so let me just make his nose a little smaller. So I'm going to circle this, and then I'm going to tap that. I think I can just go, whoops. Let me add this, tap on it, and then just make this a little smaller. Oh, I'm on the wrong layer. Make that a little smaller. Yeah, that's a little closer to his little nose. Shout out to Carol Grantinsta. Carol Grant Insta, probably. I found this via Marine Encyclopedia. Okay, one thing I'm noticing is that the shape of their mouths sort of comes down a little bit over here. So I don't want to... So even though I don't really have to... I might go back to what I have now, but I want to try to get that shape a little bit better. But sometimes I do have to erase because like now I'm sort of getting into the details that make it look more like a manatee, when sometimes that actually takes away from... Let me erase a little bit more here. I don't always have to do that. Okay, so let me get loose with it again. I have to remember to stay loose. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge these. I'm going to copy this, but then I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to before I made the changes on the mouth. There we go. So now I can... Oh, let me go back a little further. There we go. Okay, so now we have this original one that I started with, and I can also just 3-finger swipe down and paste the new one. So now I can look at them both and see which one I like. This one actually looks more like a manatee. This one is cute, but it looks less like a manatee. This one is a little more accurate. So something like that. I think it looks cute. So we'll just work with this one for now. And I mean, this is pretty much how I sketch my characters. And if I want to just clean them up a bit, I usually try not to turn the canvas, but sometimes it's a little harder to get certain lines if I'm not turning the canvas. Just clean up some of these little lines. And this might be a little... I feel like this flipper is a little too far. Let me copy and paste it. Cut and paste, I mean. I think that might actually be a little more... Feels a little bit better, like it's actually attached to the same body. I think, right? Yeah. round that out a little bit. Okay, let me just merge this down, and I'll just clean this up a little bit. And sometimes it's nice, instead of cleaning it up with the eraser, sometimes it's nice to just use smudge, because then you can sort of maintain that sketchy look. Because if you erase it, it erases everything, but sometimes you can just smudge and sort of keep that color. Okay, I have a little bit of issues with this eye. I just feel like I'm going to duplicate the whole thing in case I want to go back to it. But I think what I need to do is just try this eye again. Well, I might need to, well, let me test this out. And this is kind of normal. Sometimes I go through this process of figuring out where the eyes look best. Let me do freehand and just make this a little smaller and bring it down some. Yeah, I think that's a better position. Because I want to make sure that these eyes are level with each other. That's the main thing. And I'll just use liquify, and I'll just sort of try to move this in place. I'll probably want to redrawing it, but that's okay. Yeah, let me just redraw it here. I think that's better. I think that's a little better. Let me merge this down, and then I just always try to see if there's a better spot. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot better. You just have to be careful with keeping this part sort of at the right angle to be on like the side of his head, you know? And not puffed out a little bit too much. But I'm happy with that. I think that looks cute. At least from my angle that I'm looking at now. Sometimes I have a tendency to sort of stretch the eye wrong. And I want to make sure that I keep them the very similar size to each other. I'll just use smudge to sort of get this eye a little bit more round. Okay, and now I'll just make this a little bit darker here. For the little line. Sorry for rotating so much, but sometimes I just get in the zone. That looks pretty good. I'm going to use expand a little bit just for this eye. That's a good match. Okay, yeah, good. I'm happy with that. Make his other little top part of his eye. Let's see if we want a cheek. That's too much. He doesn't need a cheek, that's too much. Let's see if I want to make his eyes a little bit more human. What do we think? I think that looks cute. So now I'm just going to take eraser and make some little... Well, you know what? First I'm going to darken this up a little bit. Okay, got the little eyelashes, and we'll make a little shadow as well. So we'll make a little shadow up here, make a little shadow here, and then we'll put in the little highlights. And he's got his little highlights. And there we go, there's our little manatee. Got his little nose. And really quick, I'll put the brush on 15. Actually, you know what? I'll do a full brush and I'll change the opacity of the layer. We'll just do a nice quick color job on this guy. This was a fun one. I'm always nervous when I do like stylistic characters. Not nervous, but you know, when I'm not recording, then I can just take all the time to sort of clean up and make sure that they don't look embarrassing, because there's a lot of what I draw that winds up being embarrassing, but I just change it. I guess I did that a couple times, but I think that's where I actually learn the most. I think when I run into issues and you have to figure out a way to, sort of fix it. Now, I don't know if let's see if I want to make this lighter. I think that's pretty good. I want to make his little tummy a little bit of a different hue. I actually don't know if I don't think they have a different hue on their bellies or anything, but sometimes it's nice to kind of make a little separation. I can also add it on like the insides of the flippies. Or I could probably make that darker because of his the shadow. But all in all, there's the little manatee. Hope you guys enjoyed that. That's pretty much how I think and how I break down, you know, an actual animal into making him a cute character. All right, keep drawing. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to like and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at DrugFreeDave. And don't forget to join my private Facebook group, Procreate Tutorials and Guidance. Check me out on Facebook. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon. And as always, keep drawing, and I'll see you in the next video.